Hello and welcome to The Woven Word. This is a series of 360-degree interactive videos in which we're going to introduce you to Ulster's rhyming weaver poets, a group of writers who mostly flourished in the 18th and the 19th centuries. They were ordinary working class people writing in their own vernacular Ulster-Scots language, so their poetry shines a light on what it was like to just be an ordinary person at that time. Each episode will look at one poet in particular and it'll finish with a narration of one of their poems. Now, it's a 360-degree video and that means that you can really engage with it. If you're at home at your computer now, move your mouse around to look all around you or put on a VR headset and it'll be as if you're right here with me. And where am I? Paradise. This is beautiful County Down. We're standing at Scrabo Tower, which you can see if you look behind you. This gorgeous landmark built here in the 1850s as a memorial to Charles, Lord Londonderry, who lived at the Mount Stuart estate just in that direction. On the far horizon, I can see Scotland, just across the Irish Sea, due east there, and this beautiful long finger, the Ards Peninsula, pointing southwards, Strangford Lough on this side, the Irish Sea on the other. Behind me, I can see the mountains of Mourne, the highest one, Slieve Donner there at the left-hand side. And over there, lying in the valley, is Belfast. I can just about make out Samson and Goliath, the shipyard cranes. What a beautiful place. My own home, of course, the lovely little town of Cumber, just behind me. Paradise. I love this place, and so did today's poet, George Francis Savage Armstrong, sometimes more easily called GFSA. Now, he was born in 1845. He was actually brought up in Dublin, but he had strong attachments to this area. His father's family, the Armstrongs, they were border reivers from Scotland, but his mother's family had been an Anglo-Norman family who settled here from the 12th century, and she was brought up at Glasstreet, which is just on the eastern side of the peninsula, down there near Ballyhalbert, looking out across the sea. George had a very close relationship with his mother. She would tell him all the ballads and songs and legends of this part of the world using her own beautiful County Down, Ulster-Scots vocabulary and accent. Whenever she died, GFSA made it his life's work really to find out more, to trace his mother's family history and connections with this area. He compiled a wonderful account of the savage Anglo-Norman family of this part of the world, and he also in 1901 brought out this wonderful little book, Ballads of Down. It's a collection of 92 poems and songs, most of them legends or love stories or pastoral fables about this particular area. In the back of it, interestingly, he added a 10-page glossary of all the beautiful Ulster-Scots words because he was aware that an international readership might not understand the dense Ulster-Scots spoken in this part of East County Down. So the poem which we're going to hear read for us by my friend Dr. Jennifer Orr is called MacAnanty, the fairy king of Scrabo Hill. Scrabo Hill, where we're standing here. It's slightly windy, which is why I have a mouthful of hair. John MacAnanty's father, the king, he lived down in the Mourne Mountains behind us. But when John MacAnanty came of age, he was granted a fort here at Scrabo. It was said, or legend tells us, he was a beautiful figure, tall and lean, with long raven black hair, apart from one white forelock at the front, jade green eyes, and not only was he beautiful to look at, but he was a beautiful person, beloved by his fellow huntsmen, by his friends, by his family. There are so many legends of MacAnanty, the fairy king, out hunting or shape-shifting or having romantic adventures with his beloved Sheila. Right up to recently, old folk would tell you that at night there was a particular fairy thorn tree where they could see the ghostly horsemen galloping past, but in the morning they were never able to find any of the horses' hoof prints. In this particular poem, it's almost a lament. You'll hear the expression Och-a-nee, Och-a-nee, and GFSA is lamenting the quarrying that's going on in this area. There's beautiful Scrabo sandstone, a lovely polychromatic soft stone, much used for building, and the quarrying kind of changed the face of the hill here, I guess. So in this poem, he's talking about how the little fairies in their red caps can't come out and dance anymore. It's a lovely rhythmic poem. The rhythm conveys not just the footsteps of the dancing fairies, but I guess the mechanical pulsing of those diggers that are quarrying in the north and south faces just down below me here. As Jennifer reads the poem, you're going to see the words appearing on the screen all around, so you can follow the written word. Or if you're using YouTube, if you can expand the description and fast forward, and what you'll see instead are a series of beautiful 360-degree images capturing this lovely landscape. So you're now going to hear Dr. Jennifer Orr reading MacAnanty, the fairy king of Scrabo Hill by George Francis Savage Armstrong. I hope you'll enjoy it and the views.
George Francis Savage Armstrong, MacAnanty, very King of Scrabo Hill. Ere ye deed or banned or banished, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. Ere ye deed or banned or banished, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. Can the michte man supplant ye, that your red caps all have vanished? MacAnanty, MacAnanty, frae the hill and frae the lea. That nae mair in magic trances won the silver moonbeam glances. Come the wee folk with their dances, frae the lands of fairy. Come the wee folk with their dances, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. Come the wee folk with their dances, frae the lands of fairy. Are ye still at Scrabo dwellin', MacAnanty, MacAnanty? Are ye still at Scrabo dwellin', MacAnanty, Och-a-nee? Does the clink o' cheesel daunt ye? Does the iron engines yellin', MacAnanty, MacAnanty, mak the heart whin ye dee? Or aneath the rocks they're rendin', with their clatter never endin'? Are ye still your wee life spendin' in the lands of fairy? Are ye still your wee life spendin', MacAnanty, MacAnanty? Are ye still your wee life spendin' in the lands of fairy? Och, the world is grey and dreary, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. Och, the world is grey and dreary, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. Mair and mair I seem to want ye, wi' your red caps dancing cheery. MacAnanty, MacAnanty, roon the mushrooms in their glee. And the little piper squeezin' tight as pipes wi' bellows wheezin', in the scented summer season, frae the lands of fairy. In the scented summer season, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. In the scented summer season, frae the lands of fairy. It may be you're only sleepin', MacAnanty, MacAnanty. It may be you're only sleepin', MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. And the elfin herps enchant ye wore the rock abysses deepen, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, underneath the Strangford sea. And ye mock the mason's hammer and the quarry's divil's clamour, whilst you're dreamin' in the glamour o' the lands of fairy. Whilst you're dreamin' in the glamour, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, whilst you're dreamin' in the glamour o' the lands of fairy. And you'll come again hereafter, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, and you'll come again hereafter, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. Won the cruise o' joy is scanty, wi' your red caps' airy laughter, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, and their music saft and wee. Back ye'll come again frae under Scrabo rocks they rend and plunner, with the beauty and the wonder o' the lands of fairy. With the beauty and the wonder, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, with the beauty and the wonder o' the lands of fairy. Och, I'm blake and chill athoot ye, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. Och, I'm blake and chill athoot ye, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. For our solace nature sent ye, and the unca wise may scout ye, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, but you're still a friend to me. Och, this earth we mak our home in would be gloomier than a gloamin' if we couldna gang a roamin' in the lands of fairy. If we couldna gang a roamin', MacAnanty, MacAnanty, if we couldna gang a roamin' in the lands of fairy. George Francis Savage Armstrong, MacAnanty, very King of Scrabo Hill. Ere ye deed or banned or banished, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. Ere ye deed or banned or banished, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. Can the michte man supplant ye, that your red caps all have vanished? MacAnanty, MacAnanty, frae the hill and frae the lea. That nae mair in magic trances won the silver moonbeam glances. Come the wee folk with their dances, frae the lands of fairy. Come the wee folk with their dances, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. Come the wee folk with their dances, frae the lands of fairy. Are ye still at Scrabo dwellin', MacAnanty, MacAnanty? Are ye still at Scrabo dwellin', MacAnanty, Och-a-nee? Does the clink o' cheesel daunt ye? Does the iron engines yellin', MacAnanty, MacAnanty, mak the heart whin ye dee? Or aneath the rocks they're rendin', with their clatter never endin'? Are ye still your wee life spendin' in the lands of fairy? Are ye still your wee life spending, MacAnanty, MacAnanty? Are ye still your wee life spending in the lands of faerie? Och, the world is grey and dreary, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. Och, the world is grey and dreary, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. Mair and mair I seem to want ye, wi' your red caps dancing cheery. MacAnanty, MacAnanty, roon the mushrooms in their glee. And the little piper squeezing tight as pipes wi' bellows wheezing, in the scented summer season, frae the lands of faerie. In the scented summer season, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, in the scented summer season, frae the lands of faerie. It may be you're only sleeping, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. It may be you're only sleeping, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. And the elfin herps enchant ye wore the rock abysses deepen, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, underneath the Strangford sea. And ye mock the mason's hammer and the quarry's divil's clamour, whilst you're dreaming in the glamour o' the lands of faerie. Whilst you're dreaming in the glamour, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, whilst you're dreaming in the glamour o' the lands of faerie. And you'll come again hereafter, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, and you'll come again hereafter, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. Won the cruise o' joy is scanty, wi' your red caps' airy laughter, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, and their music saft and wee. Back ye'll come again frae under Scrabo rocks they rend and plunner, with the beauty and the wonder o' the lands of faerie. With the beauty and the wonder, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, with the beauty and the wonder o' the lands of faerie. Och, I'm blake and chill athoot ye, MacAnanty, MacAnanty. Och, I'm blake and chill athoot ye, MacAnanty, Och-a-nee. For our solace, nature sent ye, and the Unca wise may scout ye, MacAnanty, MacAnanty, but you're still a friend to me. Och, this earth we mak our home in would be gloomier than a gloamin' if we couldna gang a roamin' in the lands of faerie. If we couldna gang a roamin', MacAnanty, MacAnanty, if we couldna gang a roamin' in the lands of faerie.